Hello, those who are joining us for our Q&A session. We are some of the counselors from the Mountain House team. My name is Mrs. Russo. We also have Mrs. Slamy, Miss Williams, and Mr. Cronin. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is a question and answer session for 8th grade scheduling support. We are not presenting any PowerPoint or any presentation during this time. If you have not already watched either the video or reviewed the PowerPoint that was sent out to all students and families, it's highly recommended that you review that information first and then come join us afterwards. That video is about 20 minutes long. It's also available on the Mountain House website under course selection. If you are here and you have questions to ask, there is a link on the screen and a QR code. You can use either one of those to submit your question. Please submit it via the Google form. Once we have questions come through, we will start answering them. For those of you who are just joining us, we are not covering any specific material during today's session. This is just a question and answer format. So if you have a question about scheduling or about high school, we can attempt to answer it. Please use that link that you see on your screen, or you can scan the QR code to submit your questions. All right, our first question is, I have watched the video and reviewed the slide deck. Will the live presentation next Thursday on the 25th contain the same information, or will there be additional details not already provided? So next week on the curriculum fair day, counselors are available in the theater from 4 5:30 till 6 o'clock. We are presenting the PowerPoint presentation that was already shared with families. So if you have already watched that presentation, and if you do not have any additional questions, you do not need to attend that session. It's just an additional opportunity for students or for parents to watch the presentation if needed, or ask questions if they did not have an opportunity to get their question answered during one of these virtual sessions.
The next question asks, if my child selects a foreign language and one of the classes from a pathway, will those be counted as 2 electives and he will be using the flex period? So a standard schedule at Mountain House High School is 6 classes and a flex. Students who select 7 classes, meaning for incoming freshmen, they have selected maybe the language and a pathway. That means they are not eligible to take a flex this year. A flex is just a break in the day. So yeah.
Okay, our next question, can you please give a comparison between Spanish and Chinese? Which one is easier or harder? Which one would be more beneficial to the student who's taking the computer science pathway? I cannot really give a comparison as to which one is harder. It kind of comes down to the student. What you can do is you could access our course catalog on the Mountain House High School website to see kind of what content is taught in the class. But yeah, we can't really say which one is harder, which one is easier. One probably wouldn't be more beneficial than the other in the computer science pathway.
One thing to consider for world language, if your family is in California and your student plans on remaining in California, there is a lot of Spanish speakers in this area, so that could be one benefit to leaning towards Spanish, but it's really more of a personal decision and what their goals are for the future. Our next question is, my daughter is registered for in-person Math 2 honors. How can she switch to online Math 2 honors? She just needs to go into her course request section in Aries, delete the Math 2 honors class that she chose, search for Math 2 honors again, and this time she's going to choose the one that has OC in the course number. So anytime a course has OC in the course numbers, it'll say OC and then usually have 3 digits. That means they're signing up for an online course. So that's something to really pay attention to when they're selecting their classes. Sometimes we have students accidentally select an OC class when they don't want it to be online. But in this case, she's looking for that online version. So she just needs to go back, search for Math 2 honors, and then make sure she picks the one that has OC in the course number. Our next question is, we are from India. Is a regional language called Telugu considered as a foreign language? So we have a few foreign language academies that have been certified by our high school. One of those is the Telugu Foreign Language Academy. We also have Tamil, Hindi, and Punjabi. So one of those options, if they take courses through one of those academies, it is approved to be added to the high school transcript, and it does fulfill world language requirement for graduation and for college requirements.
Our next question, can a child switch course after considering biomed and then later move to computer science? What will the consequences be? Will they lose any insight to future goals? So pathways classes are electives. So yes, a student can start the first level of the pathway 1 year. Next year, they can hop into the first level of the next pathway. There's no consequences for that. Pathways are designed for students to find out what they are interested in.
The next question is for online subjects. Is this through Edgenuity or a real teacher is present to teach, and can a student come home and attend too? So the online courses are through Edgenuity. They have teachers for those classes that run the classes, but they don't necessarily need to report to the teacher all year long. So I would expect that probably the first month of school or so, they're going to come in person unless things change next year. But there are times where they have to come in person. They have to make sure that they're up to date with all of their work and they're not behind. And then they have to take tests in person as well. So although it is through Edgenuity, they do have contact with a teacher. And they can potentially do things from home if they're fully online and they're not required to come to school on certain days.
Our next question is, which class would be more beneficial, an AP or an honors class? How so? I don't really want to speak on this in regards to what's more beneficial. I'm just going to speak to the differences between them. AP and honors classes are both the advanced level of whichever subject that they might be interested in. With an AP and with an honors class, both of those courses will be graded on a weighted scale. So on the 5.0 scale rather than the 4.0 scale. So if you hear that term GPA bump, that's where that's coming from. The benefit to taking an AP class is at the end of the year, they have the opportunity to take the AP exam. If they pass the AP exam, then they have that potential to earn college credit for taking that course. With an honors course, there is no exam at the end of the year for them to take in order to earn that college credit. So that is the major difference between the two. If your student is signing up for a regular level course, they should anticipate about 30 minutes of homework per night per course. If they're signing up for an AP or an honors level course, they should anticipate about an hour of homework per night per course. So it is a significant increase in the workload. From the counseling department, our recommendation is to take no more than 2 AP or honors courses in a given year. We give this recommendation based off what we've seen in the past with previous students. Typically, when students go beyond that 2 AP or honors course, a few things start to happen. One of the biggest things we see is that their grades are impacted negatively because they don't have enough time to dedicate to each of their courses. The other thing that we see happen is their mental health and their overall wellness is impacted negatively because they are losing out on sleep because they're spending too much time studying, or they don't have enough time to do self-care activities to improve their mental health. So those are kind of the things that we see happen when you're taking more than 2 AP or honors courses. Ultimately, it's up for the student and the family to decide what's going to be best for them and what they're able to manage. Our next question is, my daughter selected freshman leadership, but it states application required. Where can I find the application? For now, your student just needs to put leadership in their course request. Our leadership teacher, Mr. Feinstein, will reach out probably around March, I think is when they start to do that reach out, March, April timeframe. They'll reach out with the application process. Typically, I think there's a short application and then a short interview in order to get accepted into that class.
Our next question is, when can one take AP classes in freshman year or when? So freshmen do not have the opportunity to take any AP classes. Freshmen are limited to honors courses. Your students can take AP classes starting their sophomore year.
The next question is in regards to which academies are accepted for other foreign languages. I'm going to put the link to our website in the chat for you to check out.
Our next question is, if my student chooses Spanish, is it guaranteed he will be given it? What happens if he is not given it? Will he get to choose at that time anything else? So at this time, the course request students are putting in is just that. It's a request. So we can't guarantee any classes that they are signing up for. We will guarantee that they will have what they need in order to stay on track for graduation, but we cannot guarantee placement in any specific class. This is why it's so important for your students to have those alternates listed for us in Aeries. So this is something we've been working with the students on all week. If they chose 2 elective classes, they need to have 2 alternates for those backups. So 1 for each. If they just chose 1 elective and 1 flex period, they only need to have 1 backup option. In July, students at walkthrough registration, so about the last week of July, they will receive their official schedule that will have the period and order of their classes, the teachers that they're assigned to, and every class that they are enrolled in. At that time, if there's a mistake or an issue, counselors will be available at walkthrough registration, so you can come by and talk to us about it. We will do our best to get them into their first choice option, but unfortunately, it's not always possible. So at that time, it's just we'll have to see what's available and what works in their schedule, and we'll have to go from there. But short answer, no, we cannot guarantee placement in any class. Our next question is, how does the Summer Skipper program work for math? Will there be a physical contact to complete the course? If so, what would happen if the student is on vacation? Okay, so many of you have heard about our Math 1 Summer Skipper course. This is the only opportunity for advancement that we offer. So if your student has already taken Math 1 in 8th grade, they just get to relax during their summer. There's nothing for them to do, no advancement opportunity for them to complete. If students are in 8th grade math right now and are wanting to sign up for our Math 1 Summer Skipper program so they can start 9th grade year in either Math 2 or Math 2 Honors, we will send out a Google form at a later time, probably end of February, early March, to gain interest on who wants to join our Summer Skipper class. The district office has not confirmed with us yet when they're going to make this course available. So we only have limited information at this time, but typically they start the course sometime mid-March, and then they have until end of July to finish it. There is a teacher assigned to this course, so if they have questions, they will have an opportunity to reach out to someone for support. And it is offered via Edgenuity. So your child does have the opportunity to work ahead and finish before the end of July. I know a lot of families have travel plans and they're not going to be home. Your student has to complete the full course before leaving on those travel plans. So if you guys are traveling and they're not able to complete the full course, unfortunately, they won't be available to complete this class, and they'll have to take Math 1 with us next year.
The next question was regarding curriculum fair. So we're going to be having the curriculum fair the 25th from 6 to 8. And what you can expect there is information on the courses. So if you're curious about what to expect in certain courses, you can get your questions answered there. And teachers should be able to help with expectations for the courses, requirements for the courses. If you are inquiring about syllabus, maybe that would be where you would ask for all of that information to get details on those courses.
For anyone looking for our scheduling materials on the counseling page of the Mountain House website, you can find all of the information under the course selection section. There is the video presentation recorded, the PowerPoint, the anticipated course list, the course catalog, frequently asked questions. So there's a lot of information on there. Also, for those who are starting to make plans for four-year eligibility, who want to apply to college during their senior year, we have a lot of information located under our counseling blog, really talking all things college. Most questions that we get asked about being eligible for four-year and advice about that process. We have previously recorded presentations on the website. Our next question is, are all electives after lunch, and can the same elective be in different periods? So no, not all electives are after the lunch period. They're scheduled randomly throughout the day, periods 1 through 8. And can the same elective be in multiple periods? Yes, depending on how many signups we get for that elective. For example, if we have 60 students sign up for Spanish 1, typically they're going to create 2 periods of Spanish 1 in that case because we have enough people to fill those seats. So that would mean there's 2 periods of Spanish 1. So it just depends every year. That's why this course request period is so important, because we build our schedule based off of what students tell us that they want to take. The next question is, if we have more questions after today, whom do we reach out to? So the counselor emails are located on the counseling page of the website. You can send us an email and we will answer your questions that way. There's also the in-person opportunity next Thursday on the 25th to come see us and get a question answered during that time as well. The link to our homepage was just posted in the chat. So you can click on that and that should take you to our our email contacts. Our next question is, so do we need to select 2 honors, or a max of 2 means we could take 1 only? So to clarify, for honors or AP level courses, at this time, 9th graders only have the option to take honors level courses. There is no AP course for them to take, but they can select as many or little honors courses as they want. A student never has to take an honors course their entire high school career if they don't want to. You can still be accepted into college without ever having to take an honors course. We are not going to limit your student to 2 honors courses. So if they want to take English 9 honors, biology honors, and math 2 honors, we are not going to tell them no. They can make that selection if they think that's what's best for them. Our recommendation is not to take more than 2. And that just comes from our previous experience with, the history of our students thus far. But we are not going to limit them. So if they want to take 2, 3, they can do that. If they don't want to take any, they can do that. It's up to them. Our next question is there a limited number of clubs my students can take, or can they take as many as they want? We don't limit the amount of extracurricular activities your student can be a part of. As long as they have the time to dedicate to what they sign up for, they can sign up for as much as they're interested in.
Okay, so our next question here, are clubs during the school day, like during lunch or after and before school? So, clubs, it really just depends on when they're going to schedule their meetings. Some of them do have meetings at lunch during the school day, and some of them are after school. So, it really just depends on what club your student is going to be in. At the beginning of school, we have kind of like a club rush type of situation where all of the clubs go out into the quad and they give information on the club, what kind of the club will look like, how many meetings, what the students need to attend, how to sign up. So more information is given at the start of school in regards to what is expected of each club and what clubs we will have. And clubs are not mandatory, so they're extracurriculars, so they're not mandatory. So for a list of what clubs we have, there is a list on our website. So if you were to go on our website right now, under extracurriculars, there is a link for clubs, and you'll be able to pull up a list along with the advisors for each club on that list. Now, every year, clubs change. So, I mean, generally, a lot of them do stay the same, but there may be new clubs added. There may be some that don't stick around. So every year, I would just look at the new list. Advisors also change. So clubs, if there's new clubs coming up, they have to get advisors and so forth. So it looks like Mrs. Lamy has put up the link to the clubs on the chat right there. So if you want to go ahead and click on that, you'll be able to see what clubs that we have going on this year. And then it will be updated for next year as well. Next question is, will the volunteering opportunities also be provided through the school, or my student need to look for them outside only? So we do have some volunteer opportunities within the district. Now, Miss White is usually the one that will send those out through the Aries portal. You guys might receive an email about if the district has certain volunteer opportunities. Those are shared with all of the students. So if there is only a certain amount of spots for those volunteer opportunities, they do get taken up quite fast. So we do have a page on our website that is for community service or service learning hours, and you're able to go to that justserve.org link, and you can put a location in there and it will pop up different volunteer opportunities for nonprofits in whatever location or area you select. That's usually what we advise students to do. Students usually will have to look for them outside at other nonprofit organizations if the school doesn't have any throughout the district. Now, sometimes around different holidays, Halloween, that kind of stuff. Elementaries might have some sort of volunteer opportunity as well. So I would definitely have your students keep an eye out for those. But generally, students will find their own volunteer opportunities outside of school. It looks like the link for the community service page is also in the chat. So thank you for putting that up there. If you guys want to click on that, you can find more information regarding the community service and where your student can find hours. There's also information on there. So once your student starts doing hours, they will have to log it into Aries. The process for this is all listed on there. There's videos for them to look at. There's a step-by-step that they can read. Some of this may be changing, but for right now, I would just go by what the website says. They shouldn't have to log anything this far, but I would encourage my students to, keep a record on a piece of paper or hard copy somewhere in the case that they're accumulating hours, starting their freshman year, obviously the fall of their freshman year, and they don't enter them in right after they do each hour. At least they will have a hard copy or a piece of paper to rely on so that they don't forget. Okay, so the next question for ninth grade, the Math 2 and Math 2 honors is a regular classroom teaching or Edgenuity based. So we have online or in person. It just depends what your student picks for the courses that they want to take. I mean, typically they would pick maybe the regular classroom and they would have Math 2 or Math 2 honor. So really just depends, like with all of our courses, what course they pick. If it's regular classroom, it will be in the classroom. If it is online, it will be Edgenuity. So let's see. If an online class falls in the middle of the day, where can the student take the class? At school or come home and take the class and go back to school. So if they have an online class and it falls in the middle of their day or their schedule, they're going to remain on campus. So they can do their course in the Learning Commons. If they have an online class and they get really lucky and the course falls, in the first period or eighth period, they can potentially come in late or leave early. But when you have those ones that are in the middle of the day, they're not going to be able to leave for that. So they would be generally in the Learning Commons doing their work for the online class.
Our next question is, how do we apply for the summer skipper program? Is there a selection process for the class? So we are going to be sending out a interest form coming up here. We are not sure about the date when that's coming out, but you will get that through email. There is no selection process for the class. Everybody has the option to take the Math 1 summer skipper.
So we are in our final 12 minutes here of our scheduled time. We're going to give you guys about 2 to 3 more minutes to enter your final questions. If we don't receive anything in the next couple minutes, we're going to log off a couple minutes early. We do have another opportunity tomorrow if you want to join tomorrow's virtual call. And then there is that opportunity in person next Thursday on the 25th. Reminder, we will start with the presentation, which you probably have already watched via the video. And then we'll have a little bit of time for question and answer on the 25th. So if you've got your questions answered, if you watch that video, you do not need to attend next week. But you should encourage your students to attend the curriculum fair that starts at 6 o'clock, because that will be a huge benefit to learn about what electives and classes they're interested in taking. Alrighty, we don't have any new questions coming through on the form. If there was something that you forgot to ask today, please join us for our Q&A session tomorrow. Those links were sent out last Friday and they were sent out on Monday. If you revisit your Parent Square, you should be able to access those links. Tomorrow's session will be from 2:30 to 3:30 since we have a minimum day. So we have a little bit of an earlier session tomorrow, 2:30 to 3:30. We can't wait to see your students next year, and we hope this was helpful. Bye, everyone.